Today, I'm thrilled to have Martin Martinez with me, and I'm going to ask him all about his entrepreneurial journey, what took him from Australia to now living and settled in Dubai.
I am a serial entrepreneur, or I like to say that it's unemployable completely.
Yeah.
I don't like to work for anybody else, so entrepreneurship is for me. In my career of about 25 years, I started 9 different companies.
Wow.
I've been able to sell 3 of them, and I've acquired 5. So I've been doing a little bit of working in entrepreneurship, starting companies and so on.
And when I'm helping clients all the time that say, we're just going to move for a couple of years, I'm like, okay, we'll have a chat about that in a couple of years. You'll still be there.
Feel it and see if this is something you would consider.
Yeah.
Try to step away from the glitz and glamour for a minute. Don't go to the fanciest restaurants, go to the local mall.
Yeah.
You know, do those types of things to really get a feel for it.
Welcome to the latest episode of the Moving to Dubai podcast. Today, I'm thrilled to have Martin Martinez with me, and I'm going to ask him all about his entrepreneurial journey, what took him from Australia to now living and settled in Dubai, parenting, schooling, and everything about his family life. Martin, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. Before we begin and get into all the questions and everything, please can you tell our listeners a little bit about your journey way back before Dubai, and kind of what brought you to ending up here?
Sure. Well, as you said, my name is Martin. I am a serial entrepreneur, or more like I like to say that it's unemployable completely.
Yeah.
I don't like to work for anybody else, so entrepreneurship is for me.
Yeah.
In my career of about 25 years, I started 9 different companies.
Wow.
I've been able to sell 3 of them, and I've acquired 5. So I've been doing a little bit of working in entrepreneurship, starting companies and so on. And I was born in Uruguay, South America. I grew up in Spain until the age of 14. And then I moved to Australia with my family. The gypsy life is how I grew up.
Yeah.
By the time I was 14, when I moved to Australia, I had moved 26 different times. I went to 7 different schools.
Wow.
So, and as an only child, I had to build a lot of resilience.
Yeah.
But Australia was home until the end of 2022.
Yes, because we met actually because our children went to the same school in
Correct.
Dubai, and they made friends with each other, which was great because you've got 2 boys, I've got 2 boys. They made great friends, we made great friends, and which is great. We've stayed in touch since, we moved back to the UK. And so let's just go back a little bit then. So Australia, how was it being an entrepreneur and a business owner and CEO in Australia? What's that like?
Well, look, it's a land of opportunity. It always has been since inception. I didn't know any better, so I started businesses where I lived.
Yeah,
It's not like I went somewhere else
No.
to start a company. But it's a good working environment. A lot of talent. You can really thrive in business if you have something. But as you get successful, that's when it gets a little hard.
Okay.
The tax system is not the most advantageous for companies, even though they've brought down the corporate rate from 30 to 25%.
Wow.
The personal income tax is the real killer for most people. But it is a great country to live in, great lifestyle, great people, very friendly. So all in all, is a great place to be.
Great. It sounds great. And everybody that I know is from Australia says the same thing. So it's so great. Why Dubai?
Well, Dubai, it wasn't really something that was always on the cards, to be honest. This came about right after COVID. I have and I still run a very successful software company. And right after COVID, Australia was one of the most locked down countries in the world. And as soon as we had the opportunity to leave on a holiday, which was I can't remember the date, but it was as soon as we got the chance, we took off to Thailand, and we had about 10 days there on a holiday. And for us, it was kind of an escape from Australia. It was just, we couldn't do anything. It was very restrictive. When we got there, we were having such a wonderful time that unfortunately it was broken down by my accountant reaching out to me. I said, hey, by the way, here's your tax bill for the last quarter or whatever it was. And I said, what am I paying you for? Literally,
What is this?
I was in shock of what was coming. And I said to him, what's going on? This is pretty unacceptable for all I pay in fees and things. So he said, look, you've got the best structure possible. You've done everything. You've got trust. You've got everything in place. And this is the best I can do.
Right.
And I said, well, surely there's got to be another way. And he had said it a year before, and he said it again. You have to get out of the country. So that planted a seed that kind of led us to where we are today.
Yeah.
It was just the beginnings of what's become a move to Dubai.
Yeah. And that's really fascinating because I am from a different place like UK, and although it's a lot of similar reasons why people are leaving the UK and coming to Dubai, it's interesting to hear it from the other side of the world as well. And actually just how much it affects entrepreneurs. You know, there's this real struggle in terms of you work harder, you do better, but you lose so much money in tax. You know, it's I always say to people, it's soul destroying. You know, I'm back in the UK now, so I've been non-resident. I've had the benefits of Dubai, and now I'm back in the UK and being violated for tax again, which is awful. So I totally get it. You know, and it's the reason why all these entrepreneurs that we're helping move to Dubai is top of their list. You know, and it means that when you can retain so much more of your wealth, you can help your family. It's the extended impact, I think. It's not just about, oh, I've got more money in my pocket. You know, yes, there is that, but that means you can help more people as well. So yeah, really fascinating to hear that side of it. So, okay, so it's 2022, which is when we moved as well. So you land in Dubai. What are you thinking? Like, what was it? What you expected it to be? Did it live up to expectations? How did you find it?
Sure. Before I answer that, I'm going to make a point of what you just mentioned.
Yes.
Since I've been here, I've noticed that there are two reasons why people move.
Okay.
The two reasons that they expatriate, regardless whether it's Dubai or anywhere else. Mm-hmm. Number one is opportunity. And that could be in the form of a business or employment or whatever else. The other one is escape. Now, it could be people that leave the Ukraine and Russia, which was a huge influx into Dubai of those people when the war broke out, or other type of prosecutions. In my case, it was tax. Yep. So those, tax is a big reason why people move to Dubai.
Is, yeah.
But there are other reasons why
100%,
people move.
Yeah.
To answer your question, I didn't really have tremendous expectations because the reality is that this was going to be a temporary move.
Okay.
So, and I think a lot of people coming here come with that notion.
Yes, they do.
2 or 3 years we'll go back and, get things settled. I was in shock how quickly we changed our mind. Within, 6 months, we kind of realized what we were going to go back to and thought that the opportunities and the lifestyle and the quality that we have here is unparalleled. And that's pretty much what's kept us here. And now we make it home.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm with you. Everybody knows the reason I'm back in the UK is for family reasons. But other than that, it's just the best place. I understand why people think they're just going to do it temporarily. And when I'm helping clients all the time that say, we're just going to move for a couple of years, I'm like, okay, we'll have a chat about that in a couple of years. You'll still be there. So I totally get it. Fine. Amazing. So you're in Dubai. It is home. And I know you have an absolutely beautiful home. So it's where you plan to stay. Let's talk about business then. So you mentioned you have the software company. I know that's to do with LinkedIn, which is my favorite platform. And you have other businesses. So please just tell us a little bit about all these businesses you have.
Yeah, so I have a software company and my main tool is a LinkedIn automation tool. However, I build a portfolio of complementary products. So we do, data scraping and all sorts of different things. However, that entire business is completely run for me. I have a CEO, I have a management team, and so on. Part of the reason for moving to Dubai and what I do today is really focus on building a portfolio. Of companies that are in the software industry and that are hopefully complementary to what I do or in different sectors. So the goal here for me is to build a company, almost like a family office that invests in software companies, that I build a portfolio around it that generates good cash flow and use that cash flow to acquire more and more companies. As an entrepreneur building companies, I've experienced the good and the bad, and it's rough. And I just literally turned 50 a couple of months ago, so I know how hard it's been for me over the last 25 years. My next stage of life is all about acquisition, growth through acquisition, not just building.
Yeah, and I can relate because I'm in the rough bit. I'm in the building, which is definitely rough. Swings and roundabouts, it's definitely worth it, but it's certainly hard. So can we talk a little bit about the first business that you grew in Australia? Because I find this really fascinating, and I know our listeners will love this story.
Sure. Well, look, it came from a situation where I found myself back in 2003. This was a situation where I found myself negative $40,000. So I was in debt by $40,000 as an employee of a casino.
Right.
And I was in a corner, and I had to figure out how the heck am I going to get out of this debt.
Yeah.
And fortunately for me, there was a lot of interest about playing poker at the time. A friend of mine was actually hosting poker games in his house, and he stopped.
Okay.
And there was a demand for that game, and I started hosting that game at home. Within 10 months, I was able to turn that negative 40,000 into break even. I was out of debt in 10 months by hosting the game. I literally had a one-bedroom apartment very close to the casino where my friends worked. And we tear down the living room, put a poker table on. I would empty the fridge, put alcohol, put everything in there, buy pizzas. Like, it was a full decked out event.
So
and
cool.
That's how I was able to actually, I was taking a commission out of the play. When that happened, I kind of realized, okay, there's something here. And I was actually part of the team that was starting to put poker into the casino, which was a very difficult thing to do because of the legislation and so on and so forth. But I was involved in that process, and I was thinking to myself, how can I turn this little one-bedroom operation into a business?
Yeah.
And to cut a long story short, I had come up with a lot of ideas that I presented to the government. They would all be rejected. And one day I said, okay, well, I can't do this. But I came up with the idea of doing it completely for free. Wow. And the moment that you turn a gambling kind of activity for free, you take the gambling out.
Yeah.
So there's no risk, there's no problems. You also take the legislation out.
Yeah.
That doesn't apply.
Because there's no betting. Yeah.
So then the idea was, okay, so I make it for free. How the heck do I make money?
Yeah, how do you make money? Yeah.
And it turned out to be that we would host poker tournaments, like I was hosting at home, in pubs and clubs all around the country. And they would be for free, but the venue would pay us to host the games.
Right.
That means that we brought this young crowd into the pubs and clubs who would spend money on food and beverage and so on and so forth. Within 3 years of launching that, it became a monster. It was a rocket ship. It went from 0 to 122 franchises in 2 countries. We would serve over 250,000 regular players every month in 1,800 venues, and we were doing a combined turnover of $50 million. So it was a big business for me.
That's just absolutely incredible. Like, that story, I'm always so inspired by people that have an idea and have the work ethic and the vision and bring it to life. It just, it's absolutely amazing. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so let's just whiz forward then back to Dubai. Because people listening to this podcast are probably thinking of moving or have just moved to Dubai, what one piece of advice would you give to an entrepreneur who's like, I've booked my ticket, I'm going?
Well, look, as I said before, there are 2 reasons for coming. One is opportunity, one is escape. You got to know which one you're coming from,
right,
to know what to do here.
Yeah. When
it comes to opportunity, this feels, and I wasn't there, but it feels like China 20, 25 years ago, when it was exciting, it was thriving, lots of opportunity, lots of companies and things happening. And it feels like the Middle East is in that stage right now. And in particular, the UAE. And Dubai is kind of the epicenter of it all.
Yeah.
So the first advice that I would give, which I didn't take, is to come here a few times.
Right.
And really feel it and see if this is something you would consider.
Yeah.
Try to step away from the glitz and glamour for a minute. Don't go to the fanciest restaurants. Go to the local mall.
Yeah.
Do those types of things to really get a feel for it. In my case, we jumped.
It
was literally
head
first. We didn't know what we were dealing with. But the reason why is because we had a plan to leave.
Yes.
Now,
which is what we did.
Exactly.
We did. Obviously, we knew we were leaving and we had to leave, but we were the same. Just head first, straight.
Exactly.
In.
So when you are having an escape route, you don't really think about the ups and downs.
No.
But Dubai is becoming more of a home for a lot more people than ever before.
Yes.
They're making things a lot easier for you to really become a part of the society.
Yeah.
And that's why I would say take a little bit more time to be considerate about your move, because that whole notion of people moving and going back, it is disappearing very quickly.
Yeah.
So just for that alone, I would say be more considerate, give it a try, come up for a month at a time, see how it feels. There's lots of Airbnbs here, so you can spend some quality time in different places.
Yeah.
And then see how that fits.
Yeah, definitely. And what would you say was a challenge or is a challenge, was a challenge that you have found moving here?
Driving. I can tell you.
I didn't drive for the 2 years I was here, so because I would, I
I'd
didn't
never
want
been
to.
so stressed on the road than the first 6 months living here.
Yeah.
It was coming from a country where everybody's a goody goody two shoes, signaling left and right,
Yeah.
doing all these things, coming here and it's the Wild West.
Yeah.
It was rough. So much so that we had to hire a driver for the best part of 6 months, especially for my wife too. She could not drive at all. So I didn't think about it when I was here holidaying. I didn't see it because I was, being chauffeured around in Ubers and whatnot.
Yeah.
But once you get into the roads, you got to be ready.
Yeah. And but Michelle drives now.
Yes.
Yeah, she does. Yeah. So it's one of those things where definitely need to have an awareness of it and prepare yourself, because it is different. It's definitely different to the UK. Like you say, it's different to Australia. But I think everyone I know that's kind of got over maybe the fear or the anxiety about driving is like, once you kind of do it and you get used to it, it's okay.
Just get a big car.
Just get a big car.
You'll be all right.
Yeah, and everyone's got a big car, so it's fine. What was your favourite unexpected thing that you have discovered since you moved to Dubai?
I was really not aware of the quality of the service here. It's insane. I mean, I don't want to be disrespectful to any Australian, but I can tell you, when you go to a restaurant, when you go to a bar, the treatment that you get from a server it's almost like they're doing you a favor. It really doesn't feel like it's service.
Yeah.
And you come here and everybody's so attentive in anything you do, whether you go to the local supermarket or you go to a nice restaurant, it doesn't really matter. And the access to services that you have here that are almost instant is something that's unfathomable. Like to get a delivery within an hour of whatever you want.
Anything.
It would take a week in Australia for the same thing. Or you might as well go get it yourself, because the economics don't work. I understand that. But the service quality and standards here are world class.
Yeah.
World leading, I would say.
They are. And it makes me want to be better in my business. Being here and experiencing the convenience, the service, everything is that they do it effortlessly here. That's what I think. Like, nothing seems too much trouble for anybody. Everybody wants to get your car door and grab your bag, and it's almost to the point where it feels so unusual, I think, coming from the UK, where that is so not the case.
Yes.
Like you say,
it's very foreign, for sure.
It's very foreign, but you quickly get used to it. I mean, when I was living here, I was shocked. I was shocked to start with, but then very quickly get used to it. And then I go back to the UK and I just get so annoyed. And I go back to the UK and I think, oh, everything annoys me now, because you don't want to be here. You don't want to work. You don't want to serve me, and, the food's not even as good and all that kind of stuff. That's great. And how have you found schooling here? Again, I can only compare it to the UK. I think the education's great in the UK, and I think it's great here. How have you found it?
Right. So I don't think I can give you a fair comparison, and I'll tell you why. When our kids moved here, they moved from a little 300 kid local Catholic school, and school here is a university size.
Yes.
So it's not a fair comparison as to what they experienced before. When we came here, our kids went to the same school, RGS, and it was very pleasant. Although it's a British curriculum, different to the Australian curriculum, the way that schooling, at least in the British system, it's strict enough where you can build some good discipline in the kids. In Australia, it's a little bit more loose, where the kids run the class rather than the teachers. So I found that very refreshing and positive for what I want to instill in my kids. I have a view that the entire education system worldwide, not just here, is broken.
Okay.
I think that what they're learning in school is not something that they will value in their adult life.
Okay.
However, I do want them to be well-rounded people.
Yes.
I want them to be respectful to others, learn teamwork, and build friendships that I personally didn't have because I moved so much.
Yeah.
So I think that what I want out of education is very different to what other parents might want. But I really can't compare it to Australia, because it just wasn't fair.
Yeah.
The way they came from such a small school to what it is here. Yeah. They're very big schools.
They are.
They're just huge schools, and
yeah,
the kids, I think, can easily get swallowed.
Yes.
But you also build a lot of resilience through that. So that's kind of what we found.
And benefits of the multicultural side of it and stuff. You know, my kids definitely were in a bit of a bubble, and I'm back in that little bubble now in the UK, and it was good for them to experience that. And I have done a video all about RGS school and schooling in Dubai, which is one of my most watched videos on YouTube, so go check that out. But it's a great school, and I was so pleased that we got our kids into RGS, because I know it's trickier now to get in, but we were in that kind of first year, weren't we? So we literally just got in before they were like, no more kids. And our boys loved it, and obviously met your kids and other children that they still are friends with now, which is brilliant. And I think it's a really fair thing to say, actually. I don't think I've considered it like that. My kids are at a teeny tiny school, 9 kids in the year group in the UK. So it's not actually a fair comparison. I speak to people all the time that are moving out here and have children and ask about schooling. And it's very difficult, because you don't want to be biased and give like your view, because everyone you speak to will say their school is great.
Yeah.
In Dubai, right?
Absolutely.
They're like, this my school's amazing. I see it on like the British Mums page, and people go, which school is the best?
It's probably because it's hard to get in all of them.
Yeah.
And as soon as you get in, you're rated.
Yeah.
Look, what
exactly.
I would say is schooling, the benefit of schooling here is that it's a very international, even though they might have a British curriculum or whatever, it's a very international point of view, the way they run.
Yes.
Because they have people from so many different places.
Yeah.
They have teachers from so many different places. You're almost landing in a world, in a complete world, not just the Aussies or not just the Brits or whatever. It's really multicultural from day one. That opens eyes to a lot of people, to our kids in particular, on how other cultures live, how they behave, how they talk, how they work, and so on. So I think there's tremendous benefit. The expat life and that of the kids of expats, it's very rich.
Yeah.
I feel like, things that they're doing in school, I never got the chance to do. I mean, they gone skiing in Austria, and like, come on, like I never even got out to the zoo, the local zoo. So for me, I think they get worldly experiences that they wouldn't normally get.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if it's the times, or they're growing very fast. They're learning very fast. I think it's the times, but I also think it's the schooling system today.
Yeah.
But to me, they're all positives. As long as you are very, purposeful as to what you want to get out of that education.
Yeah.
It isn't cheap, but
no, it isn't.
you'll get your money's worth,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And can we talk a little bit about how you as a parent feel the Dubai lifestyle is impacting your children?
Okay. Well, that's a big one.
I know, and it is a big one for
Yeah.
sure. And I know me and you have talked about this a number of times, obviously not on the podcast, just when we're socializing. I'm very aware of it. But having said that, to me, it's really not that different to how privileged they are anyway in the UK. So it's yes, okay, there are elements of having a helper in the house or maybe a driver or these things that they experience when we lived here, but they are still super privileged in the UK. So it's not a huge difference. But how are you?
I don't know how it was in the UK for you, but having help in the house and having drivers, all of this is totally foreign for Australians.
Oh yeah, that
so
side of it is super foreign.
They are,
yeah.
they're the kings of their friends in Australia, because
Yes.
all of a sudden, they have such privileges that just they're not seen in Australia, even for the wealthy.
No.
So what I feel is that they do live in a bubble.
Yeah.
It is up to us as parents to make sure that we bring them back to earth.
Yes.
That we expose them to the real world outside of this bubble.
Yes.
We often do that through travel. We travel extensively. We take them to places that are very luxurious and also have poverty.
Yeah.
Places like the Philippines and Thailand and many other places. And even we recently went for an 8-week trip in North America. We didn't go just to fancy places. We saw people on the street,
Yes.
begging for money.
Yeah.
So giving them that kind of at least exposure, I think bridges the gap of this luxury that they live.
Yeah.
Now it's very easy to fall back into that luxury when you return home.
Yes.
And you appreciate it more, to be honest, when you are exposed to bad things. But it's really up to us as parents to show them the real world and not just what's here.
Yeah, definitely. And you do a great job of that. And I know some of the ways you do that, it's great with the kids and how they like earn their money and things like that. I just think it's great. I guess what I meant in terms of like the privilege with the UK is that it is very foreign with a helper and a driver and all of those things. Like we just don't have that in the UK. But when I think about their life, certainly compared to how I grew up, it is like so far removed. Yeah. And what I find difficult as a parent, having lived in Dubai for 2 years and then come back to the UK, is trying to instill in them, when it's not their fault that they were born into this kind of more luxurious life. You know, the kids have a football pitch in their garden, and you know, I think like that's normal to them. Mm-hmm. That's just completely normal. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I guess I struggle sometimes with, morally, I struggle with how do I raise decent, humble, I guess, sons, which is really difficult when it's not their fault. I don't blame them for being in this luxury life. You know,
I've struggled with this as well, because like you come from humble beginnings. Mm-hmm. We've made something of ourselves, and they don't have those struggles. So we're trying to instill struggles through the way that they're getting value. Mm-hmm. So for example, as you know, we reward them financially for what they get in school, grades, and so on and so forth. And we've also made the decision that that's the only way that they're going to earn money at this stage, not about chores at home when you've got a maid and stuff. That makes no sense. No. But we also give them the freedom to actually use that money however they see fit, even if I disagree with it.
Yeah, which is really tough sometimes.
But the reason why we do that...
Don't spend it on Roblox. That's right. It's a waste of money.
But the reality is that what I found in almost 2 years doing it now is that they have built their own relationship with money. Right. And as you know, my wife, she likes nice bags and jewelry and stuff, and I would not spend my money on that. Yeah. She has her own relationship with money, and it's not on me to impose mine on hers. Right. I don't want to do the same with my children. Okay. So by them having the power to earn and spend however they see fit, they'll see things in a value perspective as to what's valuable to them, even if we don't share the same values. Yes. So that's kind of how we try to manage this thing. I also thought about this in a different way. Now, we come from humble beginnings, but other people don't. No. Right? They were born into royalty or super wealth or whatever. So how do they manage their kids? And the way I look at it is that, you know, you can only play the hand that you've been dealt. Yeah. And you make the most of it. And sometimes, you feel like you're spoiling them. And that's because you weren't spoiled in that way. So it's almost like, although we live through our kids' eyes now, we also resent some of the things. Yeah. And it's not fair on them. You know, these are the cards that they were dealt. It's up to us to teach them that there are other hands that, you know, they could be dealt. And how do you deal with that when you have no struggle in your life? Yeah, exactly. And that's a really valid point, actually, about people that are born into money. I mean, in a way, our children have been born into a more privileged life than we had. What's going to happen with their kids, you know, because we're almost instilling this way into our children because of our beginnings. So I do wonder sometimes about the knock-on effect of that, but we can only do our best, right? And I think, look, if you're a decent human being, you have morals, you know, you want your children to be nice and kind, and you know, all of those things. You have to be nice and kind to be able to instill that. You have to be nice and kind because they mimic your behavior. It's almost irrelevant what you say to children. I think it's how you behave. They watch how you behave. You know, it's, for me, I did waitressing for years. You know, I cleaned toilets. I'd done all those things. You treat everybody the same. And I'd say to my kids all the time, you know, it's your manners. It's how you treat people. It doesn't matter whether they're super wealthy or whether they're, you know, poor. That doesn't matter. You treat everybody with decency, and I think that's really important. And that comes to parenting. It's nothing else. One thing that I've learned being successful, losing all my money and being successful again, you know, I know how hard it is to earn $1, and it's a question of value. And at the end of the day, these things that, you know, money just enhances the type of person you are. So if you're excuse my French, you're a bastard, you're going to be a bigger bastard. Yeah. It's just the way it is. You'll be a rich one. And if you're a nice person, you're just going to be a kinder and nicer person. And more generous. Exactly. So it's just money is an enhancer of your personality. Yeah. And as long as you continue to instill those types of positive values to your kids, which can be done through school, but it's mostly done through the home. It is. I think you're going to be all right. Yeah.
Sorry, I realise we've got quite deep on this podcast
Yes.
talking about parenting.
Yes.
But it's really important because so many people are moving here with their children.
Exactly.
So many people we are relocating to Dubai are moving here as a family. And the most important thing that I have found that they are concerned about is their children.
Mm-hmm.
They're this age. Will that be the wrong age to bring them out here for schooling? How do I get them into school? What if they don't make friends? All of these things come up all the time. So I think it's actually really, really important to discuss those things because listeners will be interested in how we've kind of navigated that. So one thing I wanted to ask you about is I know that your dad has now moved to Dubai, which is wonderful, and you can spend some more time with him. How is he finding his newfound life in Dubai?
Well, I asked him my question all the time, to be honest, because it was a big thing. Not the move itself, because he was alone. My mum passed away a few years ago. He's got lots of friends, but he's got lots of friends and family all over the world. So the move itself was not the challenge. It was more about how would he adjust, how much time would we spend together, how does he make Dubai a home for his kind of retired life, and so on. So there was apprehension from both myself and my wife about making this decision. It's been really fulfilling because now he can spend more time with the kids, which, at 77, that's really what you're looking to do.
Yeah.
He gets to travel to places more frequently because of the proximity, which he didn't get to do in Australia.
Yeah, that's a big one, actually. I didn't even think about that. Just the actual geographic
distance,
location. Yeah.
Yeah, for us, 8-hour flight is the shortest flight you can get out of Australia.
Yeah.
Whereas, in here, 6 hours you're in Europe, and, he just went to South America, which is obviously a longer trip. But, he went for an extended period of time. So he's making his own life here. He hasn't made many friends, but he's only been here for a couple of months. So I can't really ask him too much.
It's not been that long.
It's all revolving around us, but he's looking after his health, going to the mall, shopping for himself, just kind of the things that you would do as a retired person. So it's been really positive. We're trying to convince my mother-in-law to make the move, but that we left it in her hands now. So we'll see what happens.
And what does the future look like then? So obviously this has gone from, we'll just go for a little bit and then we'll go back. Now you've got your beautiful home and kids are so settled in school. You love it here. What's the future?
Yeah, at a personal level is to really be settled and be here until the kids finish school. We don't have any vision as to what they're going to be doing, whether they go to university, and if so, where. Those questions are not being thought of or answered just yet. At a personal level, we love the lifestyle, we love traveling, we love all those things, so we'll continue to do that, and it's a lot more convenient from here. From a business point of view, I'm looking more, although I'm still young, I'm looking at succession planning, really, to be honest. We've set up foundations here and special purpose vehicles, or we're in the process of doing this, in order to kind of build a future for ourselves and our kids that's well protected, and also give them, eventually, if they were interested, to give them something that they can leverage and hopefully become stewards of what we built. But aside from that, it's just really enjoying life, to be honest.
Making the most of every day.
Make it easy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Amazing. Okay, so we're going to finish off with a quick fire round. Just some fun questions. First answer that pops in your head.
Sure.
Just shout it out. Okay, so beach or pool?
Pool.
Cats or dogs?
Neither.
That's what the last person said.
No. I had my last dog he changed my life. I cannot replace him. So, and the weather here is not great for animals, even though there's lots of them. So no, neither, please.
Going out socialising or staying home?
Good balance of both.
Okay. Cooking or like eating at home, I should say, being cooked for or cooking, or takeaway?
Oh, takeaway? No. If you told me restaurants, I would say restaurants.
Yeah, I know you
would.
Takeaway?
No.
Yeah.
It's
cooking.
Cooking, for sure.
Watching a movie or listening to a podcast?
I do both, but I love watching movies.
And finally, UAE or Australia?
UAE.
Everyone has said that so far, so that's good.
Listen,
Listen, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Fascinating to hear your journey as an entrepreneur. I know the listeners are going to get so much value from what you've said, so thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. I really hope you've enjoyed this episode, and if you have and you want to see some more, please like, comment and subscribe to my channel.